So let's start chapter 4. We're finally done with linear regression and doing quite all that number crunching. That's a nice little break. We're going back to probability. A lot of this is going to be familiar to you. Some of it might be new, but yeah. Why are we doing probability and why didn't that work for me? Okay. Uh, what does probability have to do with statistics? When we started this journey, we talked about the fact that we were doing different or descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. The descriptive statistics is what we've been working on. Collect some data, use it to describe what we see. We want to use those descriptive statistics now to infer, to make a prediction about what's going to happen with the whole population. Now, we don't know what for certain is going to happen with the whole population, so that brings us into the realm of uncertainty. I went the wrong way. And the science of uncertainty is called probability theory. So that's where we're getting into probability. It's saying, now if I want to infer, I don't know for sure what's going to happen, but how do I feel? How strongly do I feel that this could be right or not? So that's why we're starting into probability here. One of the important things that's going to be is this idea of equal likelihood. When we're looking at random selection back in Unit 1, it was important that every member had that equal likelihood of being chosen. And this is just as important with this basic model of probability we're going to get into. You can do probability when there's not an equal likelihood. That gets you into a lot more complicated probability than we're going to look in right now. So that may be good news. Okay, so let's see what you remember about probability. So we have Diego, Kevin, Akai, Piper, and Sigma are getting together for a movie night. They're going to make a pizza run, so they're going to pick two of them to run out and get pizza. They're going to use a simple random sample without replacement, so there's an equal likelihood that any of them could be on the pizza run. So I want you to pause the video, take a few minutes to figure this out, and then start it up, and we'll go through it. See what you remember. And I'll get Daisy down. There you go. Up, go back. So the first thing we're going to do is look at, well, what kind of groups of two can we get? So we could have Diego and Kevin. We could have Diego and Akai. Diego and Piper. Diego and Sigma. We could have Kevin and Akai. Kevin and Piper. Kevin and Sigma. We could have Akai and Piper. Akai and Sigma. And finally, Piper and Sigma. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 possible groups of two to go and get pizza. So if we want to say the probability that Kevin and Piper are chosen, we'd say, well, where's Kevin and Piper? Kevin and Piper are right here. So we only have one group. That's probably not the best color to pick for this, so we'll go 1 out of the 10 pairs is both Kevin and Piper. So my probability is 0.10. We're going to give our probabilities either as fractions or as decimal. It's kind of like the rules we were using when we talked about relative frequency. There's a lot of similarities behind here. So I know we like to talk about a probability of 10%, but unless I say give me the probability as a percentage, I'm going to look for either a fraction or a decimal. So 2, we want to say Diego's part of the party. So we look and say, well, where's Diego? Diego's in these 4. So that means 4 of the groups have Diego in them. There's 10 groups altogether. So my probability that Diego is in the party is 4 out of 10 or 2 out of 5 or 0.40 as a decimal. And hopefully you remember this. This isn't that crazy or that bizarre. Uh, we do this all the time. Well, maybe you don't. So, to make it, official, we got a formula. The probability for equally likely outcomes. And the important thing right here is this equally likely outcomes. If we do not have, and I can't stress that enough, if it's not an equal likelihood that it can be any of the outcomes, then this has to change and it gets more complicated. But it's going to be F over N, where F is the number of ways the event can occur, and N is the total number of possible outcomes. So again, same formula we use for a relative frequency, right? How many times does this one show up? How many total times are there? Yeah. So some of the vocabulary we're going to be using and exploring some more is this idea of an experiment and an event. So the experiment is an action where we can't predict the outcome. In this case, the experiment was picking two people to run out and get pizza. The event is going to be the specific outcome, the specific result that we are wanting to occur. We are looking at, in particular, like for example, the first event was Kevin and Piper went to get pizza. The second event was Diego was one of the two that went to get pizza. That would be the event. That's kind of what we're looking for to happen. But we don't know what's going to happen. That's why it's an experiment. So here's another one. Give this a try. This one we've got a table where we're looking at a group of people, and these frequencies are in the thousands. So this would be actually 6 million people, but we're just using everything's in the thousands. It makes it easier. How many people are in different income levels? So find the probability for each of these situations. So again, pause the video, take time to calculate it out. When you're done, start the video up, and I will show you what I got. For A, we're looking at between 25,000 and 34,999. So that's straightforward. That's this entry right here. So we're looking at this number. So we go 7863 divided by our total is 78,867. That gives me a probability of 0.0997. So this one would equal 0.0997. If you're not sure, I generally, rule of thumb, I go to 3 significant figures unless I'm told something differently on probability. It's not a magic number. That's just what I do. So the next one. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this. Next one, we're between 35,000 and 999. So that would be this group on the table here. So we're going to have to add those 3 together. When we do that, by the magic of doing things ahead of time, 36826 out of my 78,867 gives me a probability of 0.467. Again, notice these are between 0 and 1. So they're reasonable. We want to make sure that that's going to happen when we're doing that. It's a nice little double check. Last one we have here, under 50,000. So here's my 50,000 mark. So I need to add those 4 together. That's 32,782. Divide that out, and we get 0.416. Again, hopefully we're getting a nice, easy start into this. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the place there. So now let's try it with this. All the possible outcomes for rolling 2 6-sided dice. So you notice here I have a red and a black, so it makes a difference on what you get on the first roll and what you get on the second roll. It could make a difference, it could not. But when we're looking at this, the probability that the sum is 10. Let's clear off that stuff. Why don't we just get, if I'm doing the sum of 2 dice, I could get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's my 10. I got 11 numbers, so that's 1 out of 11, which would be, I didn't do that one ahead. I probably should have. 1 by 11 is 0.0909. But the problem here is these are not equally likely. There's only one way to get 2. But to get a 10, we have one way here. We got that. We have 3 ways on this table, 3 different ways I could get 10. Well, there's only one way to get 2. It's not equal likelihood that we can get any one of these answers. So we'd have to do something different. We can't do it this way right now. We say, oh, I got 3 dice or 3 outcomes that give me a sum of 10. I got 6 by 6, so that's 36. So that's 1 out of 12, which is 0.083. Pretty close in this case, but not exactly. So again, that equal likeliness is important for us. So this one, the probability that you don't roll a double. We can say goodbye to my mouse. Bye, mouse. Here are my doubles. Everything else is okay. So I took out, there were 36 total. I crossed out 6, so that gives me 30. So this is 30 out of 36. Or 10 out of 12. Which would be 0.833. Why I have an extra point in there, I don't know. So it gets more, as our sample space gets more complicated, as we have more things going on, this simple probability, this equal likelihood model gets a little bit more tricky. We got to be a little more careful with that because we have to make sure we have an equal likelihood for every one of our outcomes. So some basic properties we'll come back to. First property, the probability is, jumping ahead here. Probability is always going to be between 0 and 1 inclusive. Inclusive means it can equal 0, it can equal 1. Those are properties 2 and 3. But your probability will never be bigger than 1. Your probability will never be less than 0. You can't have a negative probability. You can't have more than a probability of 1. It really likes to go forward here, huh? Probability of 0 is something that is an impossible event. It cannot occur. There is no way for that to occur. There's no way I can roll 2 dice and have a sum that equals 1. That would be a probability of 0. Property of 3 is something that must occur. So if I said I'm going to roll 2 dice and that the sum of the digits are going to be bigger than 1, is always going to happen. So that would be a probability of 1. So this is a good double check to make sure your answers look reasonable when you're finding a probability. If you get something that's outside of that range, 0 to 1, there's something screwy going on. So here's your assignment. I know, it's been a few weeks. Enjoy getting back to doing some good old math stuff.